I feel like this is very Tiger Beat. You know what I mean? God, my hair is just always, it always just has a mind of its own. Hey guys, what's up? It's Emily. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thanks so much for, you know, clicking the thing. If you like what you see, I would really appreciate a subscribe from you. It would really help me out greatly. I am happy to report that last week I did have laryngitis in my video. What did I do? Oh, I did the book recommendations tag. You can check that out. I literally do this every single time for the past like 6 months. I'm like, here, I don't know which side still, I'm sorry. But yeah, I'll put that there. I had lost my voice, but today I have it back and I couldn't be happier. So today I'm gonna be going through all the books I read in the month of March. March, I actually read 9 books, which is I think the most I've ever read in 1 month. And that is because I did the 24-hour reading challenge and I read 5 books in a day. So that really put me at a distinct advantage for the rest of the month. If you want to check that out, that vlog, it was super fun. One of those spots, it'll be there. But without further ado, I thought I would just kind of get into it since there's quite a few books here. The first book took me a while to read. It's Sally Field's biography in pieces. As an actor, a woman, an actress, some might say, I actually really love Sally Field. I feel like kind of a connection with her in a way. Type-wise, she looks like a brunette ingenue, but she's kind of like a weirdo, and I identify with that. She's also a Scorpio Aries moon, and I'm an Aries Scorpio moon. So anyway, I just really love her, and I thought reading her biography would be really interesting and inspiring. And it's a dense memoir, like it really goes through many events of her life. If you're not super interested in like show business and stuff, maybe this isn't for you, but it's also just kind of like how she navigated as a woman and like a lot of abuse that she went through and just how she like kind of came out of that. And she's just so honest in it, and it's so beautiful, and the end definitely made me cry. I love this photo on the back of her. I think it's so beautiful. Yeah, I really like, if you're into acting or like show business in any way, I really do recommend this. If you're not, it would probably be boring for you. I think I gave this one a 5 out of 5. The next one, usually after I read kind of a more, oh wait, let's get the next one, hold on. Okay, I knew I was like forgetting one. This next book is the second book by this author that I read. It is All the Dangerous Things by Stacy Willingham. This one, it was a book of the month pick for me. Yes, she wrote A Flicker in the Dark, which I also read and I also loved. I really love this book. It's basically about this woman whose son went missing the last year, and she like hasn't been able to sleep like literally for a year straight. Like, I don't want to give too much away by explaining why I love this book, because it's one of those books that it's like, oh, this is what this book's about. Kind of like once you get to the end of it, like the spin kind of like makes you realize what the book's actually about, if that makes sense. So I don't really want to get into it, but it like I really love what Stacy Willingham did with the arc of the story, and like kind of having like an unreliable narrator, not really knowing if you trust her or believe her or whatever. So I just thought that this was so like brilliantly crafted. I think I also gave this one a 5 out of 5. So that's 2 5 out of 5s. And this one I think I read in like 2 days. Very quick read. So if you're looking maybe to like get out of a reading slump, this is a great book for that. In Pieces, not a great book to get out of a reading slump, but a great book. And both 5 out of 5. Next is when I started my 24-hour reading challenge, and I read Never Never by Colleen Hoover on my Kindle. And it was good. It was fine. I think I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. It was basically 3 novellas in one book, so it was like almost 600 pages. It was a very quick read though, and you know, it's just classic. It is just classic. You know, it is classic Colleen Hoover. The characters are so well written, you care about them so much, their relationship is so cute. You know, I did cry a little bit. After a while though, I was just like, okay, like this could have been a little bit shorter. I think she co-wrote it with somebody. Hold on, I need to give credit where credit is due. Taryn Fisher. It's basically about these 2 people. It alternates back and forth between their perspectives, who allegedly like dated. They were in high school, but they like kind of come to in the middle of school one day, like in the morning, and like just don't remember anything. Like they don't know who they are. They don't know who anyone around them is. And it's just them having to kind of navigate that. And it kind of has to do with just the idea of like soulmates and if people are meant to be together, etc. That kind of thing. do think Colleen Hoover has better books out there, but it is like the newer one, even though all like the 3 novellas have been out for a really long time now. I don't not recommend it, but it wasn't like my absolute favorite. The next book, which I did read the hard copy of, but I gave it to my mommy, was The Maid by Nina Prose. This book was so cute. I kind of talked about all of these a little bit in the 24-hour reading challenge, but like official review, I think I give it a 4 out of 5. The writing style, I think this is her first book. I think she was like an editor and this is her first book, if I'm not mistaken. And like, it was so good. The writing style, you know, was told from the perspective of this maid who works at a hotel and there was a murder. And the main character is just so lovable, kind of like Sheldon Cooper-esque from Big Bang Theory. You just like really get her perspective, and then you kind of like realize things about her like as you keep moving through the book. I just like totally fell in love with this character. She was so snug and everyone in it was so snug. It was a bit of a, I think if I remember, like a slow beginning, like took about like maybe 80 pages for me to really get into it, but that could have been because it was like the reading challenge and that's always a fatiguing experience. But I do recommend it. I think it was like one of like the 2022 best books of the year in a lot of places. So yes, recommend. The next book I read was the 3rd book in the 24-hour reading challenge, which was Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. This is the first fantasy book I read since I was a kid. Like I haven't like picked up a fantasy book since I was like 12 and like reading Harry Potter. And so this was like very like light fantasy. It's about this like orc, I think, which is like a creature, and she basically like retires. She was like a monster slayer or something like that, and she like builds this coffee shop in this town where people have never had coffee before or heard of coffee before. And it's just like, it's very snug. It's a great like winter read, honestly. I know we're kind of moving out of winter, but there definitely are still a few little maybe cold days left or rainy days left. It's pretty short too, and it goes quickly. So if you're just looking for something like that's like the stakes are so low and like you just want to feel snug, this is definitely for you. I think I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 just because it wasn't anything like super special, but I did really like it. After Legends and Lattes, I read Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover on my Kindle. I read that book so quickly. It was just such a fast read. Like, Colleen Hoover really is a great author to read if you're trying to get out of a book slump or like trying to get back into reading. A lot of people don't like this book because the main character is like just kind of like emotionally unavailable, and the girl, it's just like you just want to like shake the girl and be like, get out of this relationship. But I think that Colleen Hoover really wrote a truthful and complex character in this guy, and like I do think that not all truth is like beautiful, which is why it's called Ugly Love. So I think I really liked it. I think I gave it a 4 out of 5, and I would recommend it. Like it was a good read, and like I really cared about the characters, and it just showed that like, you know, in these circumstances where it's like, oh, like the guy's emotionally unavailable and like the girl like wants to still be with him, oh, you know, she's chasing nothing. It's like, well, a lot of times it's actually like a lot deeper than that, and like there's a reason the guy is not emotionally available. It's not always as like intense as this book. A lot of people are so hateful and just like write off those types of men specifically, and it's like, no, it actually like, you know, oftentimes is a complex situation. Sometimes it's not though. Sometimes men are just assholes. The next one is Luckiest Girl Alive by Jessica Knoll. I gave this book I gave the book a 3.5 out of 5. I watched the movie the same day I read the book, like right after I finished the 24-hour reading challenge, and the screenplay was written by Jessica Knoll as well, and the book was written in 2015 or 16, I believe, and the movie was made like last year or 2 years ago. So the book was written pre the Me Too movement, and the movie was made post. And it just shows, like, I think that, like, there are certain things in the screenplay that are a little bit more written with, like, complexity and just kind of with that, like, view. I felt that there were 2 characters, specifically her boyfriend and her mom, that I thought, like, I just hated them in the book. And then, or her fiance and her mom. And then in the movie, like, I saw them as, like, very complex people that, like, were trying their best, and there was just like a few changes in I think the screenplay, and it made me actually like care about a lot more of the characters. It's basically about this girl, Ani, I think her name is, and it cuts back and forth between her experiences and she had in high school and her experiences now, and she's like engaged to this like super rich guy, and like she comes from like not a super wealthy background, and just kind of like, I don't want to give too much away, but there was some stuff that happened in her past that I think she's, you know, still affect her today in a really big way. That's all I'll say. It is a good book. I think it is a really interesting experience to read the book and then watch the movie, just to kind of see, like, even just as like a cool study of like how differently I think people would write about a similar situation after now we've had all these conversations, and it does show like in art and in writing, and I just thought that was really interesting. So yeah, I'd recommend the book, and I'd also recommend the movie. Mila Kunis is great, Connie Britton is amazing, Finn Wittrock, whatever his name is in it. So yeah, so that's 7 books so far. The next book I read after the 24-hour reading challenge, I read Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus. This is actually going to be made into a movie with Brie Larson, which I'm super excited about. This book was slightly slow for me at some points, but I really, really love the main character. Kind of similar to the Maid, like very specific, like voice, even though I think it was written in the third person, but sometimes you can write stuff in the third person and still have it be like the specific voice of that character, if that makes sense. I'm really excited to see this movie. Definitely parts moved a little slow for me. Like, it wasn't as like the way Colleen Hoover writes is very like we just get right into it, like all the emotions are there on the surface. Like Lessons in Chemistry is a little bit more like we'll go into a little exposition, then we'll go into a little scene, then we'll go into a little exposition, then we'll go into a little scene, like that kind of thing. More of a slow burn. It was really satisfying read at the end, and I would recommend it. I believe I gave it a 4 out of 5. And then I think the last book I read, I have some questions for you, by Rebecca Makkai. Now, Rebecca Makkai is a Pulitzer Prize winning author, so like she's doing fine without me. I hated this book. This book was literally like, I felt like I was reading entirely exposition the whole time, like through to, and it's like not a short book. It's like 430 pages. I did not care. Like I almost put this book down like many times, and I've never like not finished a book. I don't know what it is. Like I can't do it, and a lot of people are like, you have to be able to not finish a book, but I just can't do it. Like if I spent like 250 pages like reading, I'm gonna finish it, because a lot of times, like I know like The Paris Apartment, I felt that way. Like I did not really like that book by Lucy Foley, but the end was satisfying, and like it started to get fun and interesting at the end because it's kind of like a murder mystery. I thought that was what was gonna happen, but the ending was so unsatisfying. I think I gave it a 2 out of 5. The way there were certain like topics that were explored in a new and thoughtful way that I appreciated, but in terms of like just as a reader, like it wasn't like, I just didn't really like care that much. And so I just wish that she took like the things that she was trying to like explore in this, which are cool and new, and like a new way of kind of looking at things, I think, and a needed perspective. I just wish that she like made me care about the characters more, because then that would have been really, really powerful. It's basically about this woman that like goes back to her boarding school. She's like maybe in her 40s now, and she does this podcasting class. There was a murder that happened when she went to the school in 1995. And one of her students wants to do a podcast on the murder, and so like, they kind of start investigating it. Maybe it would be fun if you're really into true crime podcasts, but it's just so deeply unsatisfying that I just like would not recommend it. I recommend a lot of other thrillers. I have a book of some of my favorite thrillers that you could check out here as well. I just would not recommend it, but this is a signed copy, so that's cool. I hear her first book is really good, but it could just be that like her writing style isn't for me, and that's okay. I really wish her the best. I just did not like this book. So those were the 9 books I read in March in the order that I read them. I'm really proud of myself. I think the 24-hour reading challenge was really fun. It definitely took a lot out of me, but it was cool to know that I could read 5 books in 24 hours. Like that was awesome. Yeah, I had a great reading month. Right now I'm starting the month out with Regretting You by Colleen Hoover, and I'm like 10 pages in. So hopefully I'll get at least like 4 or 5 books in. I did just recently buy a lot of hardcover books, or no, not hardcover books, but like physical books for my birthday in a book haul. Again, I'm really plugging a lot of my videos in this. So thank you so much for watching. I've really been enjoying making the book content, as I keep saying. So if you have any requests for anything, that you want me to make, I'd be happy to do that. I'm thinking of doing a reading vlog for The Court of Thorns and Roses, which I have not read yet, but I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Like, that was so much. Have a great week. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great rest of your week / week, probably weekend at this point. And I love you so much, and I'll see you soon. Kisses.